Good morning. Happy Saturday. I already said that, but I'm saying it again for the recording. So for those of you who don't know, we do record these. There is a YouTube playlist of every Saturday. I think with the exception of the one that I didn't do, I canceled one and one that I forgot to hit record. But other than that, every Saturday going back to September is recorded, is on the YouTube playlist. I record it to the cloud first thing Monday morning when my assistant signs on. She is uploading that, getting everything onto YouTube. So typically by about noon, she starts at 11. So typically about like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock Eastern time on Monday. Saturday is on and ready to go. All right. Who do we have? I'm gonna switch to gallery for just a second. And do we have any non-video? I usually hide non-video participants. Okay, we just got Core Squad today. Cool. Um, Let me see. Okay. I don't know that this is going to be really new, but I want to share with you guys some visuals, some data that has really it's information I know, but seeing the visuals is been a bit of a game changer for me. So, y'all know that I am a wee bit outspoken about this concept around consistency and grinding every day. We don't have any men on the call today, but in the event that this gets shared, I'm gonna speak as if there are men here as well, because this is really, really important, right? As we talk about cycle syncing, as we talk about consistency, as we talk about working with our design, this is not just for women. And here's why. Because the same way that women need to understand their cycles, and learn just to have the awareness, do what you want with it, right? Like, do it's information. The important thing is that you're making informed decisions, right? That you're not just coasting through life without, like, that's what I'm all about. Like, do what you want with the information. Like, when it comes to nutrition, I know potato chips are not a health food. I still choose to eat them because they soothe my soul. But I have the information. As a health coach for 12 years, I have talked to people who think that going to Burger King and getting a Whopper meal is a healthy, well-rounded meal because they're getting their protein and they're getting their vegetables, a slice of tomato and one piece of iceberg lettuce. And they're getting their like they think they're getting all of their things. So having the awareness is really, really important. And so, the same way that it's important for women, it's also important for men because men have their own hormonal shifts throughout the day. They have their own hormonal cycle. It just looks radically different. The other reason this is very, very important is because the same way that every woman I know interacts with, loves, is raising boys and men interact with, work with, live with, love, hire, raise, see, engage with women. And so when I showed some of this information, we're going to go over, I'm going to show you guys some slides. I'm going to show you guys some visuals. And I showed my parents. My parents know what I'm up to. My parents know what kind of the tip I'm on right now in terms of teaching women and really educating people about this cycle and what's available to us once we have this information. And I showed them these graphs, and both of them in their 70s were like, oh, okay, that starts to make some sense. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to talk about some things here. And I would love to know if this is like, yep, you know this. Everything's cool and you don't need to be here. Or if you're like, wow, this is really kind of crazy because okay, I'm not gonna do like Canva present mode because that always gets a little wild, but I need to figure out how to not. Let me see. Hold on. Maybe I will have to present. Let's see if I will, if I can figure out how to share. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see the screen that says men's hormones 28 days? Okay. It's not the one I wanted to show you first. It's totally fine. Um, Hang on, this isn't right. Sorry. I thought I was all prepared. There we go. We'll get here. Okay, if you guys have heard me talk about cycle syncing, um, drop a 4. If you are interested in learning about this, drop a 5. If you're a 6, you could probably just leave. But you can put a 6 in there too if you want to, if you're not at all interested. Um, Sorry, I thought I had this all ready to go. Okay, cool. Cool, 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 cool. Let's try this one more time. Gonna go here and I'm gonna hit present. Okay. Okay. I think we're getting there. You guys, thank you for being patient with me. Here we are, 15 minutes, and 5 of them is you guys watching me figure out how to use a computer when I worked at Apple for 14 years. We've got this, you guys. Okay. Men's hormones, 24 hours. This is the this is it. This is the male hormone. Don't ask me why this box is out of line. It doesn't matter. 24 hours. This is the entire fluctuation that a man sees ever in their hormones. So you have, the different hormones listed over here. So you can see that in a day, men they peak kind of usually around between like 8 and 10 a.m., right? Testosterone, cortisol, everything. This is their window, right? Men who get up early and they go to the gym and they are on and they are like rocking and rolling. And by 10, 11 a.m., they half their day is done, right? That is like a man in alignment with his energy, right? Like he is getting up with the sun. He's getting to the gym. He's getting to work. He's crushing things. But you'll start to notice that some of these by afternoon are starting to dip. By 8 p.m., cortisol, testosterone. Okay, this is their fluctuation. Now, if we zoom out to a 1 month, I did 28 days because to me, a month is 28 days. Um, you know, you've probably heard me rant about the calendar. So if we look at men's hormones on a 28 day, if we just zoom out, this is their fluctuation throughout a month. You'll notice there's no fluctuation. So every single day in the month. 8 a.m. today looks like 8 a.m. tomorrow, looks like 8 a.m. the next week. 8 a.m. today looks like next week at 8 a.m. It always looks the same. Their fluctuation is within 24 hours. They have a 24-hour hormonal cycle. Women, if it will let me, is it not going to let me go to the next slide? Shut your mouth. Hold on. This is ridiculous. All that buildup, and all I could do is be like, no, hold on. I gotta stop sharing. All right. Man, this buildup is even bigger than I anticipated it being. Okay, we're gonna come back to this. So let's go here. We're gonna present this. I'm gonna come back to Zoom and I'm gonna share it again. What is going on? Here we go. Men's hormones, 28 days. This is what your fluctuation looks like. This is why you can be consistent every single day. This is why you can do the same thing every single day and the routine can look the same way. And women are like, what in the world? This is what in the world. This is why women have a hard time being consistent from a day to day or a week to week basis. Because when we talk about hormones, you guys, hormones are they determine input and output. They determine your mood. Yes, we know that. Cool, you're being hormonal. Yeah, I'm literally a woman. Yeah, I'm hormonal. And guess what? So are you. Everybody's hormonal. We all have hormones pumping through our body every single second of every single day. We're all hormonal. But this also impacts our energy levels. This impacts our brain function. This impacts our heart rate. This impacts our nutritional needs. This impacts everything, and it's changing every single day. There is fluctuation even within one cycle, right? If we just look at the beginning of your cycle, and here I hear this all the time, but I don't bleed, but I'm menopausal. You still have a hormonal cycle. You still have, I work with people who they don't have a period, and guess what? They still have the first few days of their cycle. It doesn't just disappear. All these hormones don't go away. You still have a cycle. It might look a little bit different than before menopause or before the surgery or before whatever it was that took that away from you, or maybe you're on birth control. Now, birth control gets a little bit tricky because it does actually interfere because it's hormonal birth control. And so that changes things. But if you're a man and you're looking at this and you're like, oh my God, why is my so and so like all over the place? Like, why was she totally okay yesterday and today all of a sudden everything's making her cry? This is why. This is why. Why do I have two or three or four different versions of my wife? This is why. Because there's 2 to 3 to 4 versions of us that exist within a 28-day period. Now, 28 days, that's not true. I have a 24-day cycle. I know people who have like a 32, 33, 34-day cycle. So like that fluctuates as well. But even within one cycle, look at what's happening just in the first 5 days. And then I'm sorry. So the way that this is broken out is not actually correct. Ovulation is I would extend ovulation into kind of where this starts to ramp up. But then you have early luteal and you have late luteal. So this actually becomes 2 cycles as well. So I treat it as a 5 cycle, even though there's technically 4, but follicular is a little bit shorter. Ovulation is a little bit longer than this chart. They're saying ovulation is just 1 day, but there's a 5-day build up to ovulation to get ready for ovulation. So when we talk about consistency, you guys, there is so much shame and so many women feeling like they can't figure this out and like they're not good enough, or why can't they just be like XYZ? You're literally not built to grind on a day to day. Does it mean don't grind? No. Does it mean don't be consistent? No. Does it mean, you guys, I host an everyday challenge where literally the whole challenge is to pick something and do it every single day. Because there's the other side of this does not get to be an excuse. This does not get to be the reason why, oh, I can't work today because no, this just gets to be information so that as you're choosing and as you're showing up, you're supporting yourself in your calendar, in your day, in your nutrition, in your movement to be where you are. Now, are there some days I don't dial and run appointments? Yes, because I know my body and I know me, and I actually will be better if I condense all of my client facing activity into certain parts of my cycle. But I'm really, really intentional with it. And the days that I'm not doing that, I'm still working. Y'all, I touch my business every single day, no matter where I am in this phase, right? So if I'm putting up inconsistent numbers on the board, cool. But if you actually look month to month, I always hit my goal. I had this conversation with Jim. I said, Jim, I don't know if I should be on the coaching sheet anymore because I'm doing this thing and I'm not putting up big numbers for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden I come out of nowhere and I put up these numbers. He's like, I love it. He's like, I love watching it, and it's because he's like, I don't care. I don't care if you're consistent from day to day. What I care about is that you hit your goal. Sorry, my daughter's being disciplined, and I'm not entirely sure I agree with how it's happening. Um, but here we are. So it's information. It's not an excuse, right? We still get to hit the big goals. We still get to grind. The other thing, you guys, I didn't really get creative and start playing around with this until I had done what all of the men told me to do for a year. for a year. Now, could I have done some things a little bit differently? Yes, but I show up to that accountability call every single day. When I first started, I was doing between 300 and 500 dials a week, every single week without fail. And then that went up to 500 to 1,000 until I switched to digital leads. And then it dropped down a little bit because I was doing a lot of texting and I was working higher intent leads. So my dialing looked a little bit different. But you guys, for 1 year, actually more than a year, I showed up and did the grind day to day and I collected the data. And now that so for those of you who don't know, it was January when I really started to like implement some of these changes, not just with my cycle, but also with my human design. And so this idea of consistency, you guys, there's a million ways to define it. So if you've ever felt like, oh, must be great for them, or why is it easy for them, or why, because there are also some women who deny all of this and they do the same thing and they produce results. And they might be prone to burnout and they might be radically unhappy or their body may be falling apart. Because here's the thing, when we see somebody grinding, we see somebody having big results. My first question is not like, oh my gosh, what leads are you buying? My question is like, how do you feel in your body? How's your relationship with yourself? How are your relationships at home? Because I don't want to just see that you're able to grind and put up numbers. I want to see that that's sustainable. I want to see that that is getting you to the full picture life that you want, not just the results. Are there seasons of grind and get out of balance? Yeah, I've had them. And sometimes we choose them on purpose. But if you're not in one of those grind seasons where you have to make X number of dollars by this date, otherwise you're going to be homeless, then listen to your body. Get curious about your cycle. Take notes about how your body feels and how your emotions are. Like those days that you cry for no reason, like write it down because there's probably a pattern to it. Also pay attention to your men's cycle, right? Like he's on in the morning. So if he's cranky at night, if he's short with you at night, if he um, isn't interested in certain things at night, it's because all of his hormones have been dipping since 2 p.m. And don't be shy to tell your man or the men in your life about your cycle, right? Every man in my life knows, like, listen, it's day one. Give me 3 days and I'll be pleasant again. Um, I'm not shy to share that with them because the better I think if I was a man, I would want all this information. I feel like that would be so empowering if I could know exactly what my like if I could be bringing my woman to breakfast in bed and it was exactly what she needed nutritionally for what day she was in her cycle. Psh, what? All right. I'm gonna get off my little soapbox, but drop a whatever number we're on, 7. Drop a 7 if seeing those visuals like did something in your brain. Did it connect some dots? Was it interesting to see? Okay. I apologize for the like not very fluid presentation of all of this, but I hope the data at least was interesting. And I know we really just have like core squad here, so that's great. Okay. Amazing. I can hang out for a few minutes. I'm gonna actually keep the recording going. I'm gonna switch over to gallery. Does anybody have any questions? No. Cool. All right. Tell me, either unmute and tell me or drop one thing in the chat. What is one thing you are going to do with this information? What are you going to do differently? What are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing? Start, stop, continue. Drop one thing or some, if you want to, you can unmute and say it out loud.
I'm going to stop beating myself up when I don't do it.
Yeah. When you don't do what? Is there anything
When I don't, if I
specific?
don't, mine is the dialing. Because there's days I'm like all on, and then there's other days that I'm like forcing myself to do some. Like I could doing some is okay, but trying to force myself to do what I think I should do.
Yeah. Well, and that's what gets to shift, right? When
Yeah.
you start to get curious about your cycle specifically, then what you feel like you should do gets to shift because rather than it just being like, oh, I said I was going to do 100 dials today, but I don't feel like it, so I'm not going to do it. That's where it becomes the excuse. So having the information to be like, on this day, I'm only going to dial if I feel like it because it's this day, but I'm still like, any dials I do on that day are cherry on top, right? They're extra, they're bonus because
Hmm.
once you have the information and you can make the plan, you're still going to get your weekly goal done, whether it's 300 dials, 500 dials, 1,000 dials, whatever it is. You're going to get that done no matter what. And sometimes that means that if you needed to take 2 or 3 days away from dialing, or you didn't dial for 2 or 3 days because you weren't feeling like it, that might mean that that next day you have to do a 500 dial day, right? And so I
Hmm.
think it's absolutely it's the should is so important, right? That's where the shame comes in, right? That SH. Anytime we say should, that's where the shame starts to enter. So anytime we feel like we should be doing more, now realistically, if we know we need to dial to make sales and we're not dialing, then yeah, we should be dialing, like if we want to make money here. And so we're choosing something different. So I really encourage you to track whatever you can so that you can start planning ahead so that those shoulds don't even have the chance to creep in because you know that this is a day I'm probably not going to feel like dialing too much. And so I'm going to plan my week and my month to support that so that I can just give myself permission to not do that today or to do less of it or to only do what feels good. Because if we're cranky and we're dialing, that's not going to get us anywhere if we're cranky with people. Now, granted, I have gotten some sales by being cranky with people who yell at me and I yell back and then they become I've had a few of those. Um, but yeah, I think the beating yourself up, because the other side of that is that you have a goal, you also have a commitment to hit that goal. And so the best thing that we can do is use this as information to inform the goal rather than using it as an excuse as to why we didn't hit the goal, if that makes sense. But I love that. Yep. More grace. Yep. Oh man, so when I was doing 1,000 dials a week, it looked I had it was a pretty short window. I want to say only a month or two that I was hitting that, but I mean I was between 200 and 300 dials a day. That's all I was doing. I was going ham. That was right before I switched from like the lower level bonus leads up to B's and C's. 350 to 500 I think is a solid week. Also funnel. That was after Funnel came out. So auto dialing, not doing some hand dialing on your phone. Jeanette, I know Jeanette's our resident dialer here, so she might have some wisdom there.
First of all, double or tripling dialing brings those numbers up for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, that includes the triple dial. Yeah,
Yeah. And funnel
100%.
definitely increases that, like you said, for
Yep.
sure. So easy to get those numbers.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like I see where I'm at, where you're talking here, because last Saturday, I think I only did like 67 dials and set 5 appointments. Yesterday, I did 263 or something and only got 1 appointment. The 2 days before that, I did over 100 dials and got zero, big fat zero. And I was starting to feel down on myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm assuming those days that you had the lower appointment set, did you still have like you were talking to people, you just weren't setting the appointments, like you had good contact rates, but the
No,
appointments and
that's
things
the
like
thing. I had to
okay, the
tell myself,
contact.
well, you can't do anything if nobody's picking up the phone. So
Right.
honestly,
Okay, so here's the next level of this, and this is where some people might fall off and some people might like, I don't know. Energetically, right? We get back what we put out. So if our frequency is like cranky, not, if our the output that could, I don't have science on this one, but it would reason that that would impact the energy on the other side of the line of whether or not they're going to pick up or not. The only data I have to this is that when I feel good, more people pick up the phone. And
that's what
maybe
I
that's
was
anecdotal.
wondering.
And maybe that's just my confirmation bias, right? That's what I want to believe. So that's the data that my brain is collecting. But the better I feel, the more, not the more appointments I set, the more other people pick up the phone. That energetic exchange
I was
exists.
wondering that. That's why I brought it up because I'm like, I wonder if my energy goes down once it's a certain number and then it just kind of plateaus the rest of the day.
Well, have you ever noticed like as soon as you have that one person who's like mean to you, then all of a sudden like you like that energy impacts the next dial, the next dial, the next dial. That's what I love about I know Maura's done this, and I think it was Casey was talking about this, like after every dial. We're wiping our feet after every dial, right? Like whatever the thing is, like I've heard of people who like they have music on or they watch a movie while they're dialing so that like anything that you need to do, and maybe you need to be walking, maybe you need to have a standing desk, maybe you need to have like one of those little treadmills, like whatever you can do to keep that frequency. And I don't just mean like your mood, it's your body, like your body's frequency. So shake it off, literally shake it off if you have a bad one, right? And if I'm a big fan now. I know not everybody's schedule allows for this, but if I'm in a dial session and nothing is going my way and I'm feeling like trash and people are being rude or people are not answering, I get up and take a break. I have a snack. I drink some water. I walk around and then I decide, okay, do I want to dive back in to get my goal done? Or do I want to rearrange the rest of my week to make up for these dials that I'm going to not do today because I feel the way that I'm feeling, right? And that's something that you have to play with and that has to be your own. But I truly believe that there is an energetic exchange that is not quantifiable, that and maybe somewhere in the land of quantum physics we can actually get the data and the research, but my anecdotal experience is that it absolutely makes a difference. So but track it, right? You guys like tracking this if you don't know exactly where you are in your cycle. Now, if you do already track, if you still have a period, if you're tracking that, if you know your ovulation signs and you're tracking that, it can be kind of easy to go kind of piece it all together. But yeah, I think there's so much information. I could talk for another 2 hours about the amount of information that I have gleaned from just paying attention and how it's changed my life. Like it's incredibly significant. And the fact that we don't learn this in school, and that like I'm educating my mom who's in her 70s and raised 3 girls. I'm educating her about the 4 phases of a cycle. Because for as long as we knew, we were either on our period or we weren't. But that's not it. Clearly looking at those charts, right? Like that's why there's different versions of you. And that's why we gotta and here's the other thing, each version, we have access to a different superpower. That would be like the next level of this call. Like if we wanted to continue on, the next one would be like, let's look at each of the 4 phases and talk about the superpower that you have. Is it being with people and being charismatic and having good energy to like close sales and interview and whatever, or being on stage? Or is it planning? Or is it like reflecting on number? Like there is a superpower to all 4 phases. Do you guys want to hear that? Should we do that next week?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
love your
Somebody,
pup. He looks needy like my guys.
my God, he is the hammiest ham in the world of doodle hams.
What's his
Um,
name?
hey Arla, say hi. Say hi. Okay, Arla,
Oh,
and Elijah's been calling all of her baby dolls Arlo. She keeps bringing me baby dolls and saying, "This is baby Arlo," because this is baby Arlo. And I'm like, I don't think baby Arlo wants to share his name. Um, yeah, we love our big guy. Okay. So next week, we'll break that down. I'm also in the process of making some more content, doing some shifts on my Instagram to talk more about. I just like burped. That was really gross. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, marcylife.co, I think that's all I got for you guys. I'm gonna go rock and roll. Today is day one. I just finished up 3 days of my prep, so I'm in my burst mode. So the next 5, 6 days are my about 40 leads. So I'm dialing and I'm running appointments. And I'm up at my lake house to do it. So if you need me, you know where to find me. And I hope you guys all have a really incredible week 5. Follow me on Instagram and I'll see you guys next week. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
thanks,
Bye.
Marcy.